Good afternoon. It's 5 minutes past 2 p.m. and today being a Saturday, we always talk football. And today we want to discuss a matter of urgency. That's a matter of problems affecting the grassroots football here in Ugenya sub-county in Sierra County. And today I have one of the guests who is a stakeholder and a coach. Kindly, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
What's your name and what exactly do you do in terms of football in Ugenya sub-county?
My name is George Otieno, normally known as Lombardo. I'm a coach of Sega Sharks Football Club.
Good, George. Going swiftly into the discussion for today, we've seen so much about football and how the problems are increasing in terms of so many tenants. Does your team have sponsors?
Talking of sponsor, my team is self-sponsored. We don't have a sponsor, so that we carry on our activities from our pockets.
That's quite unfortunate, being that you don't have a sponsor. So being that you don't have a sponsor, do you have any difficulties in terms of facilities and training grounds?
In terms of training facilities, we have a lot of challenges that is facing the club. Because first of all, when we talk of the field, we normally use the primary school fields. We don't have the field for the club. So that's a very big challenge on us, because sometimes you're being chased out of the field because there's some activities of the primary school which must go on. So it's upon you, or it will force you to leave the training ground for the primary kids to continue their activities. When we talk of the training facilities, we also talk of some of the equipments that we need, like balls, boots, training kits like bibs. It's a very big challenge because we don't have them, and since we are a self-sponsored team, buying them is not easy because they are very expensive. So sometimes we have to train using our own clothes or some attire that anybody can have so that they participate in the training. And also, when we talk of the uniforms, we have very limited uniforms. That's also a challenge. We are going to play games outside there. So we have a lot of things, and in the training facilities, many things we are missing. We don't have equipment to use in the training ground. Because an instance, sometimes you need a gym for the players to go for the gym, and it's not there. So it's a very big challenge in the grassroots area.
Talking about the expertise and other facilities, do you have well-trained coaches to take different methods of training during your training sessions?
Okay, talking about the trained coaches, most of the coaches in the grassroots area are not trained because the training is normally done in Nairobi, based in Nairobi, and getting those coaches to go to Nairobi trained sometimes is very expensive, so that they need somebody to empower them. So we can urge maybe the county government, if they can cascade these things down to the counties or to the sub-counties, so that the coaches can get somewhere accessible and subsidize a fee so that they can train to become coaches, because most of the coaches are not trained.
Coming down to games, during games, do you have, what if a player gets injured? Do you have first aid kits? Do you have ambulances that can help?
Talking on the first aid, that is another big challenge, because since the clubs are self-sponsored clubs, they don't get any support from anywhere. So which means when they're going to the playing ground, they only rely on whatever they have in their pockets. They may have a first aid kit, but not well-equipped first aid kit. But talking of the ambulance, when I went to the games, it's not there. So sometimes teams have to arrange, whenever an injury occurred, they have to arrange for themselves how to get their player to the hospitals and get the medical attention they needed.
What the coach has said are really heavy points. But before we go for a short commercial break, let me read some of your feedbacks here on Twitter. And I can see Alex saying, the coach is saying true things, because as a grassroots team, we are facing quite a number of problems. George says that we don't have even kits, we don't have even training kits, and we don't have first aid kits that can help us during games and during trainings. Keep tweeting and keep sending your feedback. When you get back from the break, we'll read them and hear more from the coach. Sticker. Terms and conditions apply. Betting is prohibited for persons under the age of 18 years. Welcome back. And the coach has really raised some important points. But before that, let's again get back to some other points. And there is over-reliance on donors. Coach, does this really make it a problem to you that maybe some donors don't fulfill their pledges?
Talking of donors is a big challenge because sometimes you rely on someone to support you, you end up disappointed. Because I can remember sometimes when you are going back to the friendly matches and some away leagues, you rely on someone, all of a sudden, when you are calling their phones are off, it always messes everything up and also your planning. So, for us to help the grassroots soccer, we need a sponsor who is ready to work for the team.
Talking of which, there has always been some cries about some players whom you've nurtured being poached by other teams or other clubs from outside. Does it really ring a bell to your team?
That affects the team totally and also affects the morale in the dressing room. Because sometimes you rely on a player and then the other club, which has a financial muscles, come and pick that player from your team. Because sincerely speaking, the players will have to go because once you are a self-sponsored team, you cannot pay a player the amount they deserve to play for the other clubs. So once they have that opportunity from these other clubs, they'll have to go and leave you without your key players that you need to strengthen your team with. So you remain with those players who are upcoming, but once they grow, they go away because of lack of finance to keep them in the club.
There was something about political interferences being talked about there on Twitter by the court or the Kenyans on Twitter. We are in a political month and year, and there are political temperatures which are rising more often than not, and rising so fast than we thought they could. Does political interference reach your team?
It happens because, as you can see now, we are in a political mood in this country, and most of the grassroots tournaments, they are normally politically sponsored. So once you're going to play a political tournament, and sometimes the head coach of the team does not support that other politicians and maybe support the other politicians, so this politician will now find a way to make sure that your team doesn't proceed to the other level. It really affects the teams, and also getting support from the politicians sometimes become difficult when one or two of you are not in line with these political ambitions.
Those are good points. Gentlemen, ladies who are watching from home, we think that the political interferences are really doing us more harm than good in our talents back in the grassroots level. And before we finish, coaches, because I can see we should be hearing or getting the primetime news, what can you give us as your takeaway points or as your parting shot?
What I can say is that I can urge everybody, the viewers outside there, who has the art and for the love of the game, to come out and help us nurture the talent that we have at the grassroots levels, so that these people who are here, who are struggling to play soccer, they can play it up to the higher level, so that maybe they can play for those other leagues, which are the major leagues that are outside, also called the European leagues, so that when they come back and we see them prospering their lives, that's not only the joy of the coach, to see a player prospering.
Thank you, coaches. Just as he has said, those who can help should help. As we wind up the show, it's been a pleasure talking with Coach George, known as Lombardo, who is the coach for Sharks here in Ugenya. Today we are tackling the problems that are affecting us as a community, and today we only dwelt with the youths and football specifically. See you next time, same place, same person. Bye-bye. I am Gerald Onyango.